Sometimes when I review handhelds, I have a tale of two cities. A handheld which has some things I really love about it, and some other things that are just quite plain frustrating. And today's video is going to be one of those. We're taking a look at, as far as I know, the second product from the CB group, the Chip Blueprint group, the ones that brought us the really surprising and excellent CB408, the metal handheld, the Rock Chip 3566 that we loved, that had its own bit of jank with it, but was reasonably priced in a metal shell and had a decent processor for the price, but had issues like software issues, which were terrible, and disconnected hardware, which made touchscreen not work. So can CB do better? Today, we're going to take a look at their follow-up. I don't know the official name of this because it just says CUMK handheld game console. But when we open the box, we'll see it does have a lettering system to it. So anyways, remember to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode of our awesome content. Let's dive in and take a look at the new handheld from the CB Chip Blueprint group, which claims to support Linux and yet still does not support or ship with Linux. Did you take Neprosum from 2010 to 2020? If so, you may be entitled to compensation. Call the law offices of Dead and Fred today so you can... No, wait, I'm not a lawyer. Not that kind of a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer at all. Hey, Deadheads, welcome back to the channel. Or welcome to the channel for the first time, new Deadheads. Today, we're going to take a look at the CUMK new game handheld. I don't know. We'll see what this thing is called. This is a huge box. When this thing arrived, I didn't think it was actually the product that I was getting, but here it is. And let's take a look at this box as always. And on this side right here, we have the CUMK handheld game console. So this has got like a Ferrari or sports car or something on it. We do have some little text here describing it, and it does have a picture of it. And then we have a number here. So I don't know what they're trying to purport there, but turning the box around and looking at it, it's made in China. No surprise there. And nothing else really on the side. It does have a 5.5-inch LED screen, so pretty big screen for that. 2 joysticks and a stereo speaker. Again, on the back, we do have an actual photo of the unit, which looks nice. The box seems nice. It's a little kind of weird, janky, but one side's a little too much, and then this side is just nice and classy. They should have just put the name of the handheld up there. Anyways, let's get this thing open, and it's, again, a beefy box. And it's funny because opening this thing, getting this foam out the way, there's not much in here. There's really nothing. There's this card, a CUMK card. Thank you for purchasing CUMK product. Hope our product meets your needs of using. That's nice of them. We do have a USB cord. Let's take a look at it. USB A to C. So since this is a Rock Chip 3566, no surprise there. Still USB A to C. And then we have the, I guess, manual. And it does tell us that this is a GP 1550. So I guess that is what we're going to call this, the GP 1550. There was an RK35XX something listed on the Amazon listing, so I don't know. Anyways, we do have the manual here. We'll take a look at side of this and see what we have here. And not much in here, but hey, stay classy, stay frosty, just stay basic, right? But let's get this handheld out of here and let's take a look at it. Okay, we got the handheld out here, and very first thoughts is this is nice. So it does feel nice in the hand. It has nice textures. The plastic doesn't feel too cheap. It's got a nice shape to it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the shape of the Pal Kitty RGB 10 Pro 2 or whatever that Max 2, whatever that one was called, because it's sort of like that, but it's really light, but it doesn't feel cheap. So I like the way that it feels. Let's start testing the buttons here, and the buttons are nice. They're not my favorite type of buttons, but they are nice. They seem to be nice. They're a little bit loud, a little bit clicky, but they seem nice and they're not sticky and they seem to have good travel distance to them. Moving over to the D-pad, and I was worried because the D-pad looks a little small. I thought maybe it would be a little too small, but the D-pad actually seems pretty good. It pivots well, it has nice distance to it, and it feels pretty nice, although it's a little bit on the small side. Now moving back to the sticks, which are properly on the bottom for an RK3566, it is really nice. These sticks have a nice texture to them. They're switch style, but they feel like the upgraded sticks that you would find on the X35H, on the Pal Kitty, for example, or the F5 Vortex that we reviewed earlier. Speaking of which, in a little bit, I'm going to put this up against the Vortex and show you because it's the most closely aligned to this. Moving to the shoulder buttons, and I really like these shoulder buttons. They're in a stacked configuration, but they're nicely shaped. They're also a thickness that is nice and not too thin. Sometimes these front shoulders are a little too thin on these units, but these are nice. They're not analog, but they do feel nice and have a good distance to them. Moving around the rest of the unit, and there's nothing on the sides or bottom, but everything's on the top, your I/O. And we do have our I/O going from power, our TF card slot, a reset button, a USB-C, we have HDMI out, mini, and then we have a USB-A, a full-size one, and then a headphone jack. So that's pretty neat again on it. So again, this feels nice in the hands. It's nice to hold. We do have bottom firing speakers, which are really nice. So I do enjoy those quite a bit. Hey guys, Dead Fred here. Sorry to interrupt the video, but I wanted to take a moment and share with you this awesome cover for our Miyoo Flip. Have you tried the Miyoo Flip? Now, some of you are getting broken hinges, but for those of you who are not, like me, I've had 3 of these and none of them have broke. This is a silicone cover that just really makes it better. It adds a little lanyard. It's really awesome. It was sent to us by our friends at AliExpress. I wanted to just kind of show this off. You can use my coupon codes in the description to save more, but this is a nice little thing you can add to your Miyoo Flip. Hopefully the manufacturing will get better. Again, I've had 3 of these with no issues, but I've seen that some of you all have had issues, so yeah, it's a real thing. But if you get a good one, hey, you might want to check out this silicone cover, which I think adds a lot of value to your Miyoo Flip. Anyways, guys, as always, thanks for checking out the channel. Back to the show. Now, let's put this up next to the Vortex, the QRD F5 Vortex. And you can see from the comparisons here that this is smaller. So I like the Vortex quite a bit, and the Vortex has the same 5.5-inch screen as this does, but I think this is in a smaller, more slim form factor. Now, although the Vortex also is, RK3566, so these have the same CPUs, this is a touch screen. The Vortex is not a touch screen, so we got a handheld here that's a little bit smaller, a handheld that will do Android and supposedly Linux, although there's no Linux on here, and one that just seems sleek and svelte to it. Now, the Vortex had a much better implementation of software. This has a software that loads with it on Android 11. Android 11 is sufficient, but it has this top layer to it, this top software, which I'll talk about in a little bit, which makes the Vortex a little bit more attractive from a standpoint of just plug and play. But showing the two next to each other, the thickness and height of them, you can see that this is more slim and svelte. And hardware-wise between the two, the buttons are better on the Vortex. The D-pad, I think, is better on this one. The sticks are about the same. The shoulder buttons I prefer on this one as well. So, going down that line. Now, you could also put this in the range. It's in the price range of the K56, which has a better processor and is a much better handheld than this, or the Vortex. So that is that. So let's get this thing booted up and let's take a look at the software. Okay, so let's talk about that second city because the software on here is abysmal. Now, maybe I'm spoiled by how awesome Ken Hank's K56 Android implementation was, but this is along the lines of how poorly Android was implemented in the early Game MT. Even their Android has gotten better. Now, they do try to mitigate this by having this load straight into an app an app that's running on top of it that looks somewhat like Emulation Station, but it's not Emulation Station. It's not the worst I've seen, but there's really no customization to it, and it's really kind of limited. And at first, I didn't even know how to get into regular Android, but I finally figured if I pulled the screen down and I hit this little button to turn off game mode, I would get into Android. Now, trying to set up Android and use it with Emulation Station Desktop was a real pain. It ate a couple of my cards, my SD cards. I think it's a software thing because it wouldn't load into my Windows PC after I had it loaded in this handheld. It's almost like it corrupted it. I couldn't format it. So I don't know what's going on there, but the Android implementation is just really poor. This is why this thing needs Linux. It really needs Linux. Now, they say Linux, but there's no Linux on this. I don't know if they're trying to make you think the little app on top of it is Linux or what, but that's not what it is. You're going to get a way better experience software-wise if you drop down in price, lose the touchscreen, and go with the Vortex. But really, the Kinhank K5 at about $20 more than this is a much better experience. So this is the tale of two cities. This hardware is nice. I like it, but the software now is complete crap. And I don't see Gamma having any interest in this. Gamma, I don't know. Gamma, if you get a hold of one of these, I'm sure you could make this better, but it's just not good. It probably doesn't have enough RAM in it either anyways. Now, playing games on this, because of how poor the software was, I felt that it wasn't optimized. Now, they had it optimized on their little front end, and the games play okay. And if you're giving this to somebody that hasn't really tried these things or doesn't know much about it, they're probably going to be really satisfied with it. But I'm a reviewer here. I've played, hundreds of these, and so I'm trying to really be specific and pick here. So the gameplay on this experience is kind of just dampened by the poor implementation of the software, unfortunately. And at the price they're asking, that makes this just a non-starter. I don't know. Maybe they can revise this. Maybe there's a V2. I like the shape of this. I like the hardware that's on this. I think it is a nice looking handheld. I think it feels good in the hands. The weight is good. Everything like that is good. But overall, the really poor software just limits this. So, as I show y'all some gameplay footage as we take this review out and review, this is a nice, decent, put together handheld hardware-wise with a abysmal software experience. If we could get some custom firmware on this, it could save it. But right now, unless you're interested in trying to tinker with this, trying to help the community, I just think that this doesn't live up to the thing. I would go with the QRD Vortex F5 or really the Kinhank K56, which is probably the best handheld right now in that $100 to $130 range that you can buy. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of the review, of what you think of this. It's got a decent screen. It's got decent battery life. The speakers sound okay, but man, this software just makes this thing poo. Anyways, remember to hug your loved ones and love your hugged ones because tomorrow is never promised. We'll see you next time, Deadheads. Dead Fred out.